Well, Rabbi Sternberg, you changed.
If you're calling me Rabbi Sternberg, yes, I have. How are you, Alex?
I'm good, Baruch Hashem. Just coming out of chakras.
Me too. I just got home. Right now.
I know it's a little earlier schedule. We'll have to
No,
readjust.
before COVID, it was a lot earlier. Now I can start late. I have the luxury, I guess, of starting later. I am later, but I'm at home. I'm working more from home. Baruch Hashem.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they haven't reopened the company where I work at yet. They haven't reopened. I think companies are having a hard time figuring out how to keep everyone socially distanced. So we'll see how that all goes.
In a liberal state like yours, yeah, they want to keep you locked away till after election. Make sure you don't vote, so they can send in those fake, dead people's votes.
Good morning.
Baruch Hashem, time to learn.
Morning.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As based on the question we had yesterday by one of our esteemed members, I just want to go over that halacha and then we'll get back to the Peleh Yoetz. The question was, how much time after someone eats does one have the ability to say a bracha achrona? So it is found in Orach Chaim, Siman Kuf Pei Daled, Sif Kotan Hey. The Shulchan Aruch says like this. Ad Emasa Yochel Levorech. This is discussing Birkas Hamazon, but we'll see how it applies to everything, all bracha achronas. So he says, until when can someone say a bracha achrona? So the Shulchan Aruch says, Ad Sheyis Akel Hamazon Shebemeyav, until the food has been digested. But Kama Shiuro, how long does that take? So the Shulchan Aruch continues and he says something which causes difficulty in the definition. He says, Kol Zman, as the entire time, Sheino Ra'ev, that you're not hungry, Machmas Oso Achila, because of that eating. Umisho, but from the time Shehischil, that you begin Lios Ra'ev, that you begin to start feeling hungry, Afal Pishalonis Achel Adayin Legamre, even though the food hasn't been completely digested, Kinis Achel Legamre Dinenle, we judge it as if it has been completely digested. So even if you're just beginning to feel a little bit hungry, from that point on already you've lost the bracha. V'chein nami linyan achilas peres, and he says this rule also applies for fruit, ushtia, and yayin, by food and drinking and wine, etc. Imeinu ra'av, if you're not hungry, below tzameya, you're not thirsty, but toiv la'osam, for those things, yivarech, then you can say a bracha. Imeinu yodei l'shar im nisachla, if you're not sure if you completely digested or not. So now the Mishnah Berurah brings down over here in Sivkot Nechaf, where he says, V'kol zeh, all this is referring to Kisha'ochel kol tzorcho, that you satiated yourself fully. Mehalechem or mehaperos, from the bread that you ate or from the fruit that you ate. Avalim ochel ma'at, you ate a little bit. You had a cookie or whatever. V'chavetz lechol od, and you want to eat more. You didn't have any more. Cookies ran out, or whatever it was you had. You had a fruit. There was no more fruit. It says, Bezek kashem ma'od. In a situation like this is very hard. L'sha'er hashir, to come up with a definition. The kol zman she'ein orav, that you're not hungry anymore. Kivin shetekev hayalo gam kein taiva, because really you wanted to eat more. El shelo hayalo, you just didn't have. So he says, Kosru harbe achronim. So he says, many achronim write. The misharin and bazeh, that the number that they give here is ad kedei hilach arba milim, like we said, the amount of time it takes to go for meal, which is 72 minutes. Vad kedei shir zeh, to this extent, mechuyev levarech, you're obligated to say a bracha. Shebavadai lo nesakel afilu achilu muetas, even a little bit. B'shir muet kazen, such a short amount of time. So that's the Mishnah Brura over here. I just wanted to read a little to you from the Pischei Chuvos. That is he's a Rav in Ramat Shlomo in Yerushalayim now. So he picks up on something here. So he's discussing over here, which happens also, let's say, people who are learning or you're in an office, whatever, and you're drinking a little now, and then you'll have more, you're in the house now, wherever you are. He says like this, no, the minig is, somebody's in one place, like I say, they're learning, or they're in their office or in their house. Midei pam shows some coast. You're drinking a little bit. You're taking a drink, then you're going back, and a little while later you're having another back to the fridge. Shein mavorchem al kol kos for kos. They don't say a bracha on each cup they drink because they're expecting to keep drinking or whatever. Even though the time can pass the amount of time it takes to digest is gone, because he brings down over here that it could go quicker. It can go anywhere between 11 minutes and like a half hour when it comes to drinking a little bit, right? Here, I'm just bringing it because he brings it. If you eat a little bit of, you ate a strawberry or whatever you had, you had a gum, or you drank a little bit, you didn't fill up it all. You should try to say a bracha right away. If the time passed by, he says, even 11 minutes. If you drank something, he says, then you're okay. Some give you up to a half hour. Then already it starts getting, questionable. So he's discussing over here if someone is sitting in the house and, or wherever he is, and he drinks every once in a while. So he's not happy with that. He says, listen to this. He quotes over here the Minchas Yitzchak, who was Rabbi Weiss, who was head of the Badatz. He quotes others. The Minig Anocha, he said, Levara bracha rishonu, bracha achron al kol kos for kos. Every time they would drink, they would say a bracha rishona and a bracha achrona, unless they knew for sure that they're going to keep drinking in a short amount of time. But otherwise, it can create halachic issues over here. But so you have to be careful, right? It's brachos are not simple. So that's what I wanted to bring over here. We're just touching the tip of the iceberg. You need to really do your research over here. But it is a bit of a sticky point. People tend to forget, and that's why it's always advised not to leave the table until you say a bracha achrona. Sometimes you just get involved with things and you forget, and then can you
de facto extend that period if you ate a little something after?
Yeah, sure. As long as you keep eating in between, no question about it. You keep eating within that time. In other words, the Mishnah Berurah definitely discusses that if you keep eating, then even though from the first time you started eating, it's long past that time, like by a wedding, people are there for hours. And, so as long as they're eating a little bit in between, so then that's okay. If they're eating, at one point and then they're dancing for the next 2 hours and they're not having anything in between, then that's an issue. But as long as you're eating, let's say within a half hour or whatever, you just keep eating a little something, and that just keeps the meal going. And then that's okay. Yeah. But I think Rabbi Yoshev asked the question. Well, Because questions at the Seder. In other words, after the cup of yain that we drink, by Kiddush, he said, you have the Haggadah in between. It can be hours. What do you do with the bracha achrona? The minig is not per se to say a bracha achrona, right? Which we don't, but it was a big halakhic issue that he said, well, you know what to do, because you're not allowed to drink more wine in the middle. You're not supposed to drink more wine in the middle. And this was an issue. I think there were those that said to say a bracha achrona. I think others gave an idea to drink water, have something in between so that people who, get all into the Haggadah part of the Seder, you won't have that issue. But this is where, it was discussed as well.
In that case, don't we have like a connection of the mitzvahs? I don't know if that, in a sense, extends the duration.
Not per se the wine still got digested or whatever it did,
I think the cooler is that if you have wine in front of you still, you don't have hesach hadas because you keep picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down.
Hesach hadas only helps for a bracha rishona. It doesn't help for a bracha achrona. In other words, again, the idea of a bracha achrona is that once you have, it's been the digestion process of what you had is gone, then the bracha achrona is over. What you're pointing out is by a bracha achrona, if you still want to have what you have, then you're correct. Even that's a discussion, but that'll only work for bracha rishona. It won't work for a bracha achrona. So that's where like I say, the tricky part comes in. So that's why you have to just keep eating a little bit in between. But that's why
maybe a mitzvah's lav lehenes nitna. Even though it's not the rabbanon, there's no because there's no it's a mitzvah.
I'll just tell you one. Well, whatever. Okay. yeah. Okay. Let me finish up this little. I skipped a bit, but let me get to this last part over here, and then we'll see. If we have time to move on to the next piece. We'll see. So he continues over here with the idea of brachas. So he says like this. Valachas kama b'kama. He's discussing about not saying brach, of receiving brachos. A person should, let's look at the first part. Because in shalom lachaveiro, when a person greets someone, he says, what you should have in mind is saying like this is shalom yeh-lecha. When you say shalom, it means that there should be shalom to you. And the one who responds should say shalom bracha v'tova yeh-lecha. He says, when you say Shabbat shalom, he says, what does that mean? He says, your mind you should have mind saying b'schus haShabbos, in the merit of the Shabbos, that there will be shalom to you. And the responder should say b'schus Shabbos yeh-lecha shalom. V'tiyeh mevorach, and you should have a bracha. And that's what should be. People should to make efforts to try to receive brachos from people who are poor and who are destitute. Why is that? He says, Ki shomeya kel evyon, because Hashem listens to the voice of those people who are destitute. And on the contrary, saying a person should be extremely careful. Never to cause a klola to yourself from Talmidei Chachamim or from poor people. And he doesn't mention, but also from women also, almanas, the Chumash brings down. Because if they biting, the bite is serious. Hashem Yarev Rivam, and Hashem defends them. And he takes a high price. And on the contrary, they need to be careful for themselves not to chas v'shalom to say anything negative to someone. That no one should ever chas v'shalom be punished as because of them. Because if someone chas v'shalom causes someone to be punished, you're not in the same mechitza of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As is Gemara in Shabbos. Balachas kama v'kama, here he continues, how much more so yesh la'odim litametz v'lishtadil ma'od l'kabel brachas avi v'imo. Person should try to make full effort to receive brachas from one's parents. Even if you're not living at home. You're far away from them. Lo yitrashel, don't be lazy. Mileilech b'kol leil Shabbos, to try to go on. Again, they didn't go that far. We're not talking about people. They stayed somewhat in some communities. I mean, but today you have plenty of opportunities, right? V'yomu v'chagim l'nashek yedayim, right? You see that again. You see, this is he's from Balkan areas where it's the meaning of the Sfaradim. They would kiss the hands, l'kabel birkosim, and they would get their brachas. Shim levad shabracha krova liskayim. He said, besides the fact that the bracha is very fruitous, that it should come true. Al shem avarchim also milev and nefesh, because when a parent gives a bracha, it's with their full leiv and nefesh, b'leiv shalem. Karachim abal bonim. Od ba kila mitzvah techashim. Not only are you getting a mitzvah, al hayosem machabed, you're giving cover to the parent, to the mother or the father. Uba b'scharo, and how much reward you get. Like it brings down over here, famous idea. Shakol hatova, all the good, hamamlocha, and all the power, sheyesh lezerei, that Esav has, and we've been living with that for the past thousands of years already. Everything they have, he says, Ual shehichshiv birkas avi, because that Esav gave such a priority to his father's bracha. V'yitzak tzaka gedola, and he cried a bitter cry. Umoran was bitter, but Amro bar cheni gam oni avi. So again, when we have an idea of Esav, we think of Esav as just another criminal or whatever. You see, when it came for the bracha from his father, he was crying bitterly for that bracha. Right, and because of that bracha and all the pain that he went through, we're going through all that suffering as a result of that. That's brought down. That's our living with Esav, and all of what we went through, all of the casualties and all the suffering is all because of that Esav suffered when he wanted that bracha. V'yishmar nafsho ma'od, and on the contrary, so if one gets a bracha from a parent, you can imagine what the schus is. And on the contrary, chas v'shalom, never to bring out a negative statement from a parent. Sha'af al pi she'ein mekalim osum min halev, they would never, chas v'shalom, parent would never say anything sincerely. Vein rotzim liros rab, b'tziporno haktana, they would never want to say anything bad. The takef mischan, even if they would say something, immediately they regret having to do that. Mikol makom b'hitztaref hachet she'osin, if the person naturally does fall, Shagarim tsar, since you caused the tsar and the cost to the parent, yesh lochu shirat tov olav, something negative could happen, chas v'shalom. L'chein av v'em yerachmu al yadeim, parents have to have enormous compassion on their children. Can't let children get under your, under your skin, even if you do. But appreciate. Below yakalos and chas v'shalom, never ever say anything that's negative, no matter what. Commotion nichtav l'kamon, like we'll say, this topic dealing with kolalos b'siyata d'shmaya. V'mavorach yisa brocha me'es Hashem. And if you give a bracha, you'll get from Hashem, ukashem shabrocha tova bita, just like a bracha in its right time. Kach yesh eish heder tov hemena, not saying it is also important. But birkas Hashem tzorach lizar ma'od. And when it comes to the brachas, like we're discussing over here, giving brachas on anything we have over here, you have to be very careful. Shalom lavar bracha she'eina tzricha, a bracha that's not necessary, or a bracha levatala chas v'shalom. Shover alo sisa, you are saying Hashem's name unnecessarily. This is very prevalent by uneducated people. Shirot ziliot chasid, they want to be very pious. Ulevarach al kol, to say brachas for everything. So it might be coming from a good source, but it's It's not the proper way to do it. He's pointing out. Lefamim hema koshlu, but they can trip up. But nofel be'isab, they're saying a bracha lebatolo, a bracha that's not necessary. And the rule is always like we say, v'yeholech es chachamim yechkam. Learn from your chachamim. V'chein bebirkas chaveiro, like it says, mevorech re'ehu b'kol gadol. If you give brachas to someone in front of other people in a loud voice, he's saying, "Boker hashkem kolola," it becomes a klol in the end, and that's very connected to this week's parsha. They learned it out from Bilam. V'yesh b'zeh shnei drachim. There are two ways of doing things here. He's saying, "Sheyesh iser lahaktim shalom lechaveiro." Says, what's the problem? He's saying, number one, a person is not supposed to preface giving shalom to someone or to give him a bracha before one davens. In other words, one has to recognize that the first thing on my agenda for the day is to meet with Hashem. That's the first thing I do. I don't meet with others. Shechashuv ke'ilu aso bama, because if the way it's brought down in those, if you go to see someone before you see Hashem, it's as if you're putting that person on a pedestal. So that's number one why it's inappropriate. Often habeis, and the second thing why it's unacceptable is that you're going to say a bracha in front of others, but goram lo ra, you're causing that person a problem. Because what's going to happen is everybody else will think, well, what about me? Why don't I? I deserve it too. I'm better than, in any way that person is good, I'm equally, if not more, I'm better than them. People don't think that. Machlokas, all it's doing is causing arguments and terumos and complaints. So you have to know when you want to give brachas and how to do it, and the appropriate way to go about it. Oh, you always have to think 10 steps ahead, even though you have good intentions, but you have to think of all of what can come as they say in Ivrit, hashlachot, any repercussions that can come as a result. But and wherever there is a possibility that the person might wind up losing more than gaining by what you're saying, if you know neman ruach mechased, then keep it quiet. So you have to know. Person has to be. People make mistakes, but in general, you have to think before when you say something in front of others, try to be, think it out first. So it shouldn't come out like, others will become jealous, etc. Okay, so that talks about that piece. We have a couple of minutes. Is there a question before I have, there's a little piece here I wanted to share with you, but if we have any questions.
Maybe for another time, but it seems to be the shem we use is adnos, which is used sometimes for Adoni, master, or Hashem. So it's a mekinu. It's not Yud-K, Vav-K pronunciation. So I just want to know, why is it such a bracha levatolo? It's such a noinish for a kinui like that. Why do I have that?
Again, if I'm
that's
using
not the name of Hashem. It's a euphemism.
Well, again, it is Hashem. Again, that I say the word Adon in reference to Adoni to refer to someone else. It's a different. Again, that's a different word. It's a different word. The Yud-K Vav-K, which is Hashem's name. So if that's the way it's pronounced. So then a person has to be very, very careful with that. In other words,
but it's pronounced in order to avoid the real pronunciation. So B'yatzim, it's like
it's not.
Again,
the Plumish tells us that Zeshmi Leolam is a Zichri Lador Dor. There's the way Hashem is written is not the way Hashem is pronounced. This is the way we pronounce it. Quite correct. It's not obvious. Yeah, but still, in all, it has that severity to it. And again, it might not be as severe as others, but it's definitely has to it's a problem. Again, you need to, you can't just you cannot use that name just passingly. No, 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 that's it. That's Hashem's name. That's the way we pronounce it. And that's usher. Can't just say it as when you want.
But you do, but for Lakim, you use it the same way for
So that's a
Avodah
different
Zarah.
word. You're correct. That's a different word then. You're correct. Just like the word Elohim. Elohim means a judge.
Right, so it's the same pronunciation.
Correct, but you have to, again, in its context, depending on the context, it has different repercussions. Correct, you're right. So if I'm using it in reference to Hashem, it has a different repercussion. And I have to be very careful about that. You're quite correct. I have to know. Adon can mean a master, and an Elohim is a judge. But if I use it in reference to the Rabbanu Shalom, it has a different meaning. Right? Correct. Okay, there's a little piece here. Yeah, we have a couple minutes. It's I don't know how connected, but it's important. He's saying onus, the idea of something being out of one's control, something beyond one's ability. So he says, Amar HaChacham, the smart one says, Kol Toeh, anyone who makes a mistake, Ze lo mitam onus rachmana patre. Anytime a person makes a mistake, they automatically say, well, Hashem forgives. Hashem forgives. It's only, well, what can I do? What can I do? So he continues, Ki be'ila koldahu, with any excuse. Motzi makam patur latzon. People are always looking to excuse themselves. In both ways. Mikol davar tov, from good things. V'amru shu ones, lo yu, I can't do it. Now people, can you help with the tzedakah campaign? Can you help with this mitzvah, etc., whatever it may be? Do you have time to help for this? So we don't have time. It's an onus. What can I do? Or because he doesn't want to push himself too hard, right? Or sheyesh lo kav, he has it's a little bit discomforting. Or shuchalu shukadome, people always have excuses. Or sheyitzer tagvo, because his yetzer. Lo yuchal lichbo, he can't hold himself back. So all of these options are onus. What can I do? Al vayadu l'kol, everyone knows. Shein tainas anosim ke'elam mo'elis le'olam habo. What he's trying to point, we shouldn't fool ourselves though. Like they say, you can fool most of the people. The problem is though, as they say, if you keep saying the same thing over and over again, you begin to believe it yourself. That's the problem. But hopefully, Shein taina, you don't fool yourself. You can't keep going with that forever because those excuses don't work. L'olam habo. Vein poter also elatainas onus gomor. The only time that something is out of your control, if it's really out of your control. Ukadei lahavchin mao onus gan. How can you tell if something is really an onus or not? Brings down a very good measuring rod over here. Umasha enu choshev, what is and what isn't. Yadama, just picture to yourself for a minute. If someone would give you an opportunity for a business venture where you could make an enormous profit, would you do what you have to do? You have to get out of bed now, you have to do this, you have to do that, whatever it be. If we make to that profit, would you do it? As then, if even under those circumstances you couldn't do it, then you're in good terms, and then that's an onus. But if for a business venture, you would ignore, I have 110 fever. All right, so what? But if I can make $110 million, I'll get myself out of bed. So then that's not an onus. What can I do? There's profit to be made. So then you have to ask yourself, well, what's going to be with Hashem? It's going to be very embarrassing. You won't have what to respond. You won't be able to look, like physical form. You can't even face the person. When they look at you. That's why mitzvahs have to be treated. If you look at that, if you search for them like kesef, and like treasures, then you understand what it means to have yira of Hashem. Zeklal Godel b'Torah, this is the rule in Torah. Ki schora Yehudim, because this is the Jewish business. Jewish business is Torah. Hayasora, that's our life, and that's what we have to understand. Our prophets are in our Torah and our mitzvahs, etc. And that's where we see our total success. Okay, we'll adjourn over here with your permission, and Mitzvah Hashem, we will pick up tomorrow. Okay, any other questions, or we'll adjourn? Okay.
Rabbi, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Have an amazing day, everyone. Okay, take care.